Today we have another question. What do we know about General MacArthur's Scottish ancestry? Well, General MacArthur was very, very proud of this heritage, and the family is said to descend from Fergus, a 5th century king of Scotland, who himself was purportedly a descendant of the Egyptian princess who rescued Moses on the Nile. The MacArthurs are also said to be related to the legendary King Arthur. Now, we don't have a lot of evidence to back up these family legends, but what we do know is that the MacArthur name, in any of its 30 different ways of spelling, is a very old one in Scotland. And in his autobiography, MacArthur quotes an old Scottish saying, "There is nothing older than the hills, MacArthur, and the devil." What we do know is that the area around Loch Awe in Argyll, northwest of Glasgow, was the earliest stronghold of the MacArthurs. The clan is known to have been in that area from about 1200 AD. We also know that a MacArthur ancestor was among the nobles who forced England's King John to sign the Magna Carta in 1215. We also know that MacArthurs fought alongside Robert the Bruce in the 1300s. The 15th century marked the beginning of the end of the powerful Highland clans, including the MacArthurs. Now, wary of the power and the threat posed by the Highlanders, Scotland's King James I had the MacArthur and several other clan chiefs executed in 1427. Now, the troubles just continued from there. During the mid-16th century, a feud erupted between a branch of the MacArthur clan and the Campbell clan, and this led to a battle in 1567 that resulted in many being killed. In the first half of the 18th century, you have MacArthurs fighting on both sides of the Jacobin rebellions. And in the wake of these failed rebellions, English garrisons end up stationed throughout Scotland, and Jacobite sympathizers are incarcerated, and the wearing of kilts and clan tartans is prohibited. During this time, large-scale immigration begins. And it's estimated that about 150,000 Scots immigrated to North America by the time of the American Revolution and the War of 1812. And it's in 1812 that General MacArthur's great-grandparents appear in the historical record. His branch of the family begins with the marriage of Arthur MacArthur to Sarah MacArthur. Now, the two resided in Glasgow, and unfortunately Arthur dies just days before Sarah gives birth to their son, also named Arthur. And this Arthur would later joke that he was a double distilled MacArthur because both of his parents' last names were MacArthur. Now, in 1824, Sarah remarries, and then several years later, she, her son Arthur, and her new family, they emigrate to the United States, and they will settle in Massachusetts. Now, her son Arthur will go on to marry a woman named Aurelia Belcher. Now, interesting fact, Aurelia Belcher's grandmother, Sarah Belcher, is a common ancestor of Douglas MacArthur, Franklin Roosevelt, and Winston Churchill. Now, Arthur and Aurelia would marry, and they would have 2 sons, and they would name their first son Arthur. So there's a bit of a pattern here. And Arthur would go on to marry Mary Pinckney Hardy, and they would have 3 boys named Arthur, Douglas, and Malcolm. The MacArthurs in America remained very proud of their Scottish heritage, and they also seem to have the same mix of personal ambition, a certain gravitas, and a belief that they were called to public or military service. By the time Douglas MacArthur was born in 1880, the MacArthurs in America had given the nation more than 60 years of service.